Welcome back. We want to get you to Wisconsin now, where the battle for control in the state's Supreme Court will be decided today. It is the country's first major vote since last year's presidential election. President Trump and Elon Musk are throwing their support behind conservative Brad Schimmel, while former President Barack Obama and billionaire George Soros have both backed liberal Susan Crawford. Now, overall, the race on both sides is topping $90 million in donations. That easily makes it the most expensive judicial race in U.S. history. Joining us now to talk about all of this is CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe. Ed, good morning to you. Both sides wouldn't be spending tens of millions if it wasn't crucial. What is at stake in this race?
Yeah, Errol, you wouldn't normally get this kind of attention for a statewide race in a Midwestern state like this, but it's the first sort of high-stakes contest since President Trump took office. It's in a battleground state. There are issues like abortion rights, labor union rights, potentially congressional redistricting, all at stake in the kind of place that helps determine who ultimately serves in the White House every 4 years. And experts tell us, look, increasingly we're seeing PACs, these political action committees, other organizations, wealthy people feel like if this kind of a race is out there to be played in, it's easier and potentially more cost-effective to help enact change this way than it is to spend money in a presidential, gubernatorial, or congressional race. So that's why you've seen upwards of $81 million spent so far. Yes, some estimates say it'll be 90. One yesterday suggested $100 million, all for one seat on the 7-seat state Supreme Court. But both sides realize this is a proxy battle in the ongoing red versus blue fight across America.
Yeah, and Ed, how do the candidates differ then, and how would each of them change the balance of the court?
Well, this is officially a nonpartisan race, but currently the court has a 4-3 liberal ideological split with conservatives. Susan Crawford, the Democratic-backed, but again, nonpartisan, essentially liberal in this race, would maintain that liberal majority. And she has been campaigning against Elon Musk, who has spent more than $12 million of his own dollars in various ways, suggesting that she's running against the richest man in the world, and she can't quite understand why he's so scared of her. And she mentions issues like abortion rights, congressional redistricting, voting rights, the environment as things that could come before the court in the coming years. Brad Schimmel is the Republican-backed or conservative contender in this contest. He's a circuit court judge, former attorney general of Wisconsin. He suggests that he would help the court shift back to the right, become less activist-focused, and not necessarily, as Republicans like to say, legislate from the bench, but just interpret law in an objective way. Now, they both talk about being objective, but they say this at events sponsored by Democrats and Republicans. You might scratch your head and think, how on earth can anyone be objective or nonpartisan when they're clearly being supported in a partisan way? But this is the way Wisconsin runs its races.
And so, Ed, how then is the issue of abortion playing into this race? What have the candidates said on that topic?
So given the federal changes in abortion policy, there is one of those older laws in this state that, in essence, if fully enforced, could basically criminalize or make illegal most abortion procedures. And so there's a thought that at some point in the next 3 years here, Wisconsin's going to have to rethink its statewide abortion policy. That is what has so many liberal organizations and Democrats concerned. It's why you've seen people like George Soros, the Illinois governor, J.B. Pritzker, who's focused on abortion rights for much of his term down in Illinois, spend money in this state to try to ensure that Crawford gets on the court and that ideological balance favoring liberals is maintained.
All right, Ed O'Keefe for that live update, joining us from Milwaukee. Thanks, Ed.